Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Can I just say thank you. I am officially at 100 subscribers. Okay, OMG, y'all really did it for me. Thank you so much. I'm just so thankful. I'm gonna do the random drawing, and the random drawing for $100 will be going to whomever pops up on this screen. I really appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. Super excited to share with y'all that it's getting out to people, and again, more feedback this week that people are just being encouraged. So I'm just going to continue to be obedient and share and do what God has put on my heart as far as encouraging everyone, but specifically fellow believers. I'm just excited to be able to do this and share with you all. So thank you. Today, I'm going to be talking about probably the first difficult conversation that I've shared, right? Which is insecurity. I know I shared with you all that 3 of my areas was identity, insecurity, and the opinions of other people. This will probably be the first time you all will see this level of vulnerability. Get that out of your mouth, right, Jess? From me. And I really just want to make this a space where I'm leading by example, because I believe that if more people would be open and vulnerable about their real feelings and about their real journeys in church, that more people would be able to see the goodness and the greatness of God and his delivering power, his comforting power, his saving power, his grace. And so many of us don't understand grace because we don't walk in it, right? We walk in this facade of he's taking care of it, all the while holding on to our own struggles and hardships in our minds, and sometimes even manifesting physically, because we just don't trust him, right? And I really believe that if we offer our testimonies, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony. More people would just get to experience him and the love that he has for us, right? God is not far from us. God is not the tradition and the routine and I want to be mindful how I say this, because I know some people will say, oh, yes, he is, yeah, he's a jealous God, and he wants us to obey him and be in love with him. He doesn't want to share us, right? But he's such a gentleman. He's not going to force it. And so many of us in church have been forced to love God. And when you're forced to love God, when you're forced to have a relationship, it's hard to really understand how much he loves us. And we beat ourselves up. We don't understand his love and his grace, and we hold on to our hardships and our struggles because we haven't found him to be the good father that he is. He's such a good father. And he wants to heal the broken places. He wants to connect with us in our broken spaces. God really had to allow me to break, because I had to get to that point where I was tired, right? Where I was tired of holding on to my struggles and trust him. Let's just go right in. So yeah, insecurity for me, it really housed 2 areas, right? And that was this feeling of not being enough for my family, in friendships, in romantic relationships, in my interactions, I just had this idea that I wasn't enough. And that came because, I felt rejected in a lot of spaces, in my family. I shared with you all how my family is very blended. So in different areas of my family, sometimes I felt, yes, this is my family, but there's a distance. There's something that I'm feeling, something that's not right. I don't know what it is. Something's off. Is it me? Is it my existence? Does this frustrate you? Is it my conviction about who my family is and how my family has been grafted that bothers you? Is it the fact that some people saw me as family and then some people saw me like, you might be, you might not. Like all these different thoughts were in my mind for many different reasons, okay? And I really struggled with understanding that I was enough just as I am, just who God created me to be, right? And there was this feeling of rejection, not just in my families, but in certain friendships, right? I had to go through a lot of that, realizing, okay, these people are my friends, these people are not my friends. And that hurt, because I was already growing up by myself for the most part. So I had a lot of lonely days. And you just felt like, dang, like, is anybody gonna like me? Shout out to my besties because, they've been holding it down, but I can count besties on one hand. And quality over quantity. But when you're a kid, you don't understand that, right? So it gets in your head. And then, of course, opportunities. It's come to work opportunities, to opportunities to just be brave and launch out into different ideas and, things like that. I always had this, am I enough? Can I do it? And that's because I was off in understanding where my validation came from. And so then that led to me being closed off. Like, I'm a very social person. I'm a people person. If you know me, I will talk to you. I will reach out. Like, that's just my personality. But really, on the inside, if you really get to know me, I'm an open book, but only with the people that I know without a shadow of a doubt that I can trust. I tell my story. I'm not ashamed of that. But those inner workings of who I am, like God knows your inmost being, right? But the people that you allow in your safe, sacred spaces, one hand, because I just closed myself because I wasn't sure. And not dealing with that and recognizing it for what it was and how it's healthy to put boundaries in place, but not necessarily healthy to just isolate yourself. Took some time. So that not feeling enough was a big insecurity. And, in a comment, let me know if you've felt like that, because it's understandable. And then, of course, physically, right? I was the tallest forever, okay? My family can tell you that. I was the tallest. I was thick. I was dark-skinned. My hair was natural, still is. Thanks for the braces. There was all these things that I didn't think I was ugly. I never thought of myself ugly, but I just didn't appreciate the beauty in myself. People would tell me, you're so beautiful. Like, oh my goodness. I've had people be like that, literally. Like, oh my God, you don't even know how beautiful you are, and it was my personality, but also my physical appearance. And I used to be like, huh? Okay. And a lot of that was because I didn't hear those things. I didn't get that validation in home, and that's because I was raised, not to be so focused on, as my dad would say, you being vain. Don't be vain. I can literally see him saying that right now. And I'm grateful for that upbringing, right? Because some of the prettiest people are the ugliest in the world. And I don't want to be like that. I refuse to be like that, so God continued to help me. But I just never thought I was ugly, but I didn't appreciate the beauty in what God had done. And then, of course, because I was thick, boys teased me, men in my family, even meaning well. Like, we got to work on our conversations with our young ladies, okay? Some of y'all don't even need to say nothing. Let me just make that exclaimer. go to a trusted man in her life, you know, if you really have a concern. And if you are that trusted person in a young lady's life, ask God to help you how you say it. Because sometimes the way it comes off is just wrong. And there's still things to this day, even things that have happened in my adulthood, that are just like, wow, that's really mean. But for me, the biggest piece was my father, with my father. And I let my dad know, God is amazing how he just did healing before my dad got out here, like only God knew. Where basically I had to tell him, like, you were so hard on me about working out and being fit, because then boys would look at me. I mean, one time I remember that was said, and I was like, Daddy, but that was in my head. I didn't say it out loud. And then later on, as I grew up, he was like, you know, men, they're very visual. And I didn't understand that at that point. He's like, but if you don't take care of yourself, you don't keep up, you know. And of course, that doesn't just have to do with your weight. But for me, that's what triggered in my mind, even into adulthood, where I literally had to take my time and work through that, deconstruct that in my mind. And I'm still deconstructing it. Like, I have a negative association with working out because it was always about being thinner, right? Instead of being healthy, right? And that's the association I'm putting with it now, you know? It takes time. And being able to tell my dad that, I said, Dad, you know, you would say those things to me and you didn't know I was being bullied. And my dad said, I didn't know that. Like, why didn't you tell me? And I said, because I didn't feel comfortable because of the communication before. Like, if you just do this sport, if you just work out, you know, then you'll be good, you know? And because we just never had those conversations to deconstruct that, to how that wasn't my value, I equated it with that. I equated fitness and doing all that. So I threw myself into theater and the arts, music, dance. Like, that was me. That was my thing. And my dad just couldn't understand it. One time I even became the mascot for my school. He was not happy, okay? He was like, you want to be the mascot, but you don't want to be on the team? Like, it was hilarious. And I just got a kick out of it because I was like, you're not going to force me, you know? And that was the biggest thing with my dad, which we'll get there to that story. But I had this thing like, you're not going to push me, you know, to force me. And I'll just shut down. I'll just be quiet. And I really had to work on that. I had to ask God to help me, you know. And in that shutting down, I was hiding. Although I was very outgoing, I was hiding because I didn't want people to really see the insecurity that I had on the inside, you know, that I didn't feel beautiful, that I didn't know I was beautiful. Like, it was just, even at that young of age, you internalize those things. So parents, please take time with your children. Talk to them. Make sure they know how loved they are, right? So I'm resolved now, honey, okay? No more. No more. I know I'm more than enough because I'm God's child. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am the beloved of God, right? He calls me friend, right? And anyone who's in my life who doesn't value me or treat me as such, you know, you just ain't for me. And that's okay, right? Because I see the value, because I know that my value is in who Christ has created me to be, right? And even though I have my difficult days, I'm still pressing on. I remind myself, I put things on my walls, you know, mirrors, some affirmations, and I don't even have to look at them as much as I used to because they're in me. Right? And my associations with working out, even though it is still hard sometimes, like, miss me with that. Right? But it's like making sure that it's a health choice, that I'm doing the right things for my health, that I'm eating well, because I want to be healthy. I am the temple of God, right? And in order to do the things that he's called me to do, I got to make sure that I'm taking care of this temple, not just emotionally and mentally, but physically. All those things work into my resolve now. Like, I am enough. I am beautiful. You gonna get this fluff. You gonna get this natural hair. Okay, you gonna get my eclectic fashion. Because some days I'm bohemian and some days I want to be ball gown. I mean, it just depends. And my friends know that well, okay? Engagement word of the day, bohemian, okay? Put that in the chat if you watch to the end of this video. Okay? So I love y'all. You all are so loved. God loves you. Every insecurity, everything that you're unsure about, everything you're uncertain about within yourself and who you are, take it to God. He is there. He is ready, willing, able, and he will bring people and circumstances into your life that will help you to grow along that path of owning who you are in him. And those insecurities will not speak louder than his words over you. That is my prayer for you. Thank you for 100 subscribers. I'll see y'all on Monday.